Alright. Okay, so we are dealing with Ephesians. Ephesians 5. Alright. So things going to join me inside. Okay, Ephesians 5 is full of imagery of what we've already spoken about from the Roman side of things. I'm going to remind you about them. We're going to discuss them a little bit as we go along. So yeah, okay. Any idea of what we spoke about last week? Ephesians 4, very good. Which part of the letter? Yeah, we went into what they call the fivefold ministry, yes? We broke it up. And we made you study a bit of paleo. And we had some fun with that as well. So he's going to carry on the theme. Now remember guys, I know we're breaking this up into bite-sized chunks so that we can try and just grab hold of what he's saying here. But remember, this is a letter. It's meant to be read from start to finish without pause or break, so you get the central theme of things. What I'm trying to do to you is give you the gist of why and what he's addressing, so that as he addresses it, when you go back and you read the whole thing again, the whole theme will come to you and you'll be able to understand Paul a little bit better. Okay? So don't get segmented in your mind that it's like, oh no, we only did Ephesians 4 and 5 or 6. He's making a constant stream of things, but because Paul, Shaul is a rabbi, he's making us work for whatever he's giving us. Okay? Right. Shall we play? Okay. He starts off in 5 verse 1. So imitate God as his dear children. Please pause. The word he used for imitate. Anybody?
Yeah, that's BS.
Another time.
Yeah.
Right? And where does he get that from in the Roman culture?
The 50s.
You were trying yeah, you would. Right? I'm not miming like Frankie was doing. Could you imagine that in the Roman theater? Okay. We've got different types of plays. Alright? There was comedies, there were tragedies, there were mimes, and there were pantomimes. At the time of Paul, mimes were the most popular. So he was reaching out to the mass Roman population when he says, I'm going to pull this out of your theater and I'm going to say, mimic him. They immediately understood, okay, what is this about? Okay? But he's using something that is not kosher to give them an understanding, to bring them into a kosher understanding. What does kosher mean? Proper, not kadosh. Kadosh is set apart, right? Kosher means proper. So the proper way of doing this, or the proper way of understanding it is like this. You're mimicking what you see happening in theater. And a mime was basically degrading talk show at this point. Alright? So they would use very coarse language, they would say things that are a bit rough, that would be sexual in humor, they would do all of that, and you say, alright, well, you know what it's like when they act like this. But this is what God is really trying to tell you. Okay? He's following after his rabbi. Give me a thing where Yeshua used something similar. Did Yeshua ever refer to the Roman theater? Yes, he did. Did he ever enter into a Roman theater? No, he did not. Okay. How do I know that? Number one, no God-fearing Jew would be caught dead in this environment. Number one, you have different deities and things like that that have to go according with Roman life. But he used a term that we take to be hypocrite. A hypocrite is an actor. Comes from the word hypocrite. Hypocrite is theater talk. Don't be like the actors. Don't do that. Don't sit there and pretend you're fasting and oh look, I'm dying, I can't, I need to eat. But on the inside it's like, oh no, Joe. I'm fine. You're dealing with this thing where you're reaching out to God with everything you have, but inside you're just going, oh look, they're looking at me, and this is such a good part. I'm really enjoying myself. Just don't act like them. Don't act like the pagans do with many words. Don't do this. It's an amazing thing when a rabbi can take something that is so not of them and take that and he says, look at this. You know what the problem with this is? This kosher? No Jew would say that's kosher. Absolutely not. You don't go anywhere near it. And he says, then why are you acting like that? Okay, you're starting to get my attention. What do you mean we act like that? And then then he can go on and elaborate. You call yourself holy, you call yourself set apart, but you act like the world. On the outside you say, no, God forbid, oh, Baruch Hashem, oh, it's Shabbat Shalom. But on the inside you're full of wickedness and malice. Paul is doing the same thing. It doesn't matter how much, if you look so holy on the outside, but your heart doesn't change the rest of your time. Remember, he carries on to say, if you do all of these things without love, you are nothing. Training grass and sun. Those are here to implement. One is meant to use lightning, another one is meant to use, or not lightning, thunder. Another one is meant to make your voice bigger than what it really is. Right? Shake it because Zeus is coming, and then Zeus will come in, but the problem is the actor's really good, but he's got a fairly light voice. So how do I make him sound bigger than he really is? Give him a nice little conical outlet, and then he can speak really deeply. And then that sounds more like Zeus, not, hello, please stop what you're doing or else. Zeus, we've got a problem there, my boy. What's going on? Says, you guys make no noise, but there's no effect when I look behind the curtain. You all talk, but when I really see what's going on, I don't see anything. And he talks about being a tree without fruit, and he uses those images to try and get them to understand. But when he has to pull from a world system to get you to understand that you're acting like the world when you say you're not, he's giving you an invitation to make this your part. Says, imitate him, mimic him, be like him. As what? As hypocrites? As children. It's a lovely saying. You are your father's child. Now, depending on who says it and how they say it, it can mean a few different things, yes? Depending on your father as well, it could also mean something else. But for the most part, if we're being nice, it could mean you look exactly like him, you're the splitting image. Or, you look at him and you can go, you know what, I see your daddy's heart run through you, it is just amazing. And Paul's saying, what are you following? Are you following him or are you following God? Are you acting like children of God or are you acting like children of the world? Are you a Roman or are you a God? Are you part of God's kingdom? Which one are you? Live a life of love, just as also the Messiah loved us. Indeed, on our behalf, he gave himself up as an offering, as a slaughtered sacrifice to God with a pleasing fragrance. Was Yeshua put on an offering table? Did he go into the temple? Was he burnt up on the altar? Yes, no? No. So what offering is he talking about? Offering up of his life. He gave up his spirit. Remember, he was the Passover lamb. And the sin offering. And scapegoat. And. But the simple fact to remember is that is what he gave up his life out of love. You as someone who's been trained up to be a Roman, are you doing this out of love for the Roman civilization who conquered your village, burned down your house and brought you in? Oh, don't worry, you can be a Roman. Oh, jolly good. I can be like those people who murdered my people. That's amazing. Thank you so much for that invitation. You start to see there might be a bit of conflict of interest when a Roman is being civilized, taking him out of his barbarous trait to make him a Roman citizen. Where's your love? I want my freedom, I want out. Is that how you act with God? Baptize me so I can go do whatever I want. Think about it. How many people wear a cross on their neck as a symbol, as they remember what He did on the cross, but they do it as a talisman because they need Him, because they know they're probably not going to do nice things. And when I say nice things, ungodly things. But it's okay, you've been saved. That's fine. Parents, do me a favor. Friends, listen to me. If your child is living like the world and you want to tell them that everything's okay, that their salvation is secure, you're doing them no favors. You're not helping them. You're giving them a false sense of security. If your friends are doing the same thing and you're telling them, no man, it's fine, you go to church, you're definitely saved. But they're living like the world. I'm going to show you why I'm saying that in a minute. Among you, there should not even be mentioned, not even a thought, not even a rumor, not even be mentioned sexual immorality. What's sexual immorality? Come on, define it for me. You have to go back to Leviticus, right? And Leviticus, God gives us clear definitions about immoral sexual behavior. You found it? Remember, he's a rabbi. He expects you to understand Torah. You know exactly what's going on. There's this whole chapter about really weird, perverse things that go on that we don't know why we actually have to write that down, but we do. Why? Because there are people out there that need to know that what they are doing is wrong. How can you say that? They didn't know. Leviticus 18 will give you a complete breakdown. Do you want us to highlight really quickly? Shall we have? That's the most
interesting chapter in the Bible.
Covering things.
Where should I start? Okay, so obviously no sexual relations with a close relative, with your father, with your mother, with your father's wife, sister, your son's daughter, your father's wife's daughter, your father's sister, father's close relative, mother's sister, mother's close relative, daughter-in-law, brother's wife, with both a woman and a daughter, while she's unclean, while any woman's unclean, your neighbor's wife. And then also in between all of that it says you are not to let any of your children be sacrificed to Molech. Do not go to bed with a man as with a woman, it's an abomination. No animal. It's pretty much the gist of it.
The rough summarized.
Yeah.
Why would he put Molech in the middle of that? And how many of you stopped and thought, hang on a second, why would I... Does any of that seem really random? I mean, you get confused families, but that seems a little bit much, right? Put yourself into their shoes. A mother and a daughter. What happens if they both work as temple prostitutes and you go, as you are encouraged as a good Roman to pay tax? 1 week it's with mom, 1 week it's with the daughter. 1 week it's with your auntie. You've got to pay tax. What happens if the only person available is a man? You know, in Greek mindset, they considered it a... Jews have a thing called a bar mitzvah when you come of age. Greeks believe that you take a boy around the corner. That's how you become a man. Are you starting to get the gist of how wrong it is in the society, why Paul is starting to mention things like this? It's not only wrong, it's an act of worship. You go into Molech. In Molech they have, for lack of better words, pants optional parties where you run around and then you don't know whose kid is whose. Why? Because the one that was supposed to be betrothed to you was busy with that guy at the time of the spring festival. 9 months later, she's pregnant. Was it yours? You don't know. Because you were busy with something or someone else. Did you know that some of the most... It was considered a little debased for those who were extremely high up in Roman society, but it was quite common to have a lunch party that turned into group orgies fed by opium. You're just going for lunch, 4 or 5 hours later, there's some drugs, there's people, clothes disappear, everybody has a good time, you go home. Maybe you do it again tomorrow. Who's there to pick up the pieces? Who's there to identify family? Who's there to identify marriage? Who's there to show you what it's like to do it in accordance like Adam and Eve? Where's God in that? What he's saying is don't act like a Roman. There were some cults, the Dionysus one springs to mind, where it got so bad that the Romans outlawed it. The sense of depravity that was going on, and they were considered it normal. Guys, this is just part of world culture. Get Roman or, I mean, what is wrong with you? Let's move it a little closer to home. It's normal to sleep together, then maybe move in together, and after a while, then maybe decide you want to get married. It's culturally acceptable. Is it proper? Oh well, you know, it didn't work out. We lived together for a while. How many of you are married? How many of you realize the first couple of months living together, you start to see things and you start to question whether or not you were married or should be married? It's not there to be mean, but they say the first 7 years is the hardest. Why? Because you have to get to a place where you actually anticipate how that person lives and change your ways to accommodate their ways, and you slowly merge into a routine. And then you get your routine and then everything beats. And when that household beats with you together, man, that place beats and it's strong. And it's good. Now can you imagine if you're not really tied down by any sort of commitment and you're just like, yo, it's been a good year, but I don't know, you get a little crazy in the morning, I think I'm going to go do it for someone else. On my checklist, now I will put morning person. Because definitely not a morning person. And you run. Because it's easy and it's okay. You tried it, you gave it your best. And then you move on. Don't worry, there's plenty of fish in the sea. Guys, do you see how quickly we justify our position? Not even mentioned any kind of impurity or greed. What does it mean to be impure? Sleeping around, yes? Are you presenting yourself, all of you, as a gift to your husband, as a gift to your wife, as someone that no one else is open? Think about it. No one else has had the privilege that you're going to get. I've never let myself get anywhere up until that point. And if you've been broken, don't think that just because the wrapping came off once that you have to show the wrapping to everybody thereafter. You make a choice. It's going to be you and me. It's going to be special. I'm going to wait, I'm going to do this right. Because with God in the midst of it, it's making love, not getting your... dealing with whatever you need to deal with so you can deal with your lust. Lust is a problem. Even in marriage. What's the difference between lust and love?
Selfless.
Yeah. Right? There's lots of marriage counseling here. This is going to get uncomfortable really quick, guys. It's a good chapter. Lust is about me. Love is about you. If this is all about me and what I need to do to get satisfied, then that's it. Good job, you got satisfied, and then what? You left out one unsatisfied because you never even thought of it. So? I know it's sad, I understand. Greed. You're so busy chasing money if you're not building a home. You're so busy chasing stuff, you're not following God. I'm not saying it's not bad to have goals. What I am saying is if your goals overshadow your God. How many of us will say, oh, well, you know what, I have to do X, Y, and Z before I give my life to God. Teenagers, don't be shy, do all at once. How many of you did that? I'm just going to go through this, this, and this, and this, and this, and then I'll give my life to God. Yeah, you know, right? It's like, I haven't been tried 47 times yet. I'm going to try on the 48th time, I'll give it up. We come from a culture that says you haven't lived until you tried stuff. How many of you want to try death? No? But you have to try everything at least once. No, we'll wait for that one. Yeah, you've all only tried once. Well, if you believe in the Messiah, you'll only get to experience it. You take drugs, you do this, you do that, and you justify it, well, it's only living until you do that. No one wants to try getting shot once. No one wants to try Rat-X. I don't know, you guys have got double standards in my book. Think about it. You justify why you want to do what you want to do. You don't want to try everything once, you just want to do what you want to do, that's it. You want to try that drug, you want to try that relationship, you want to try and do this because you want it. And that's ultimately the bottom line. It's all about you, it's got nothing to do with God. Remember, he opened up the statement, mimic God as he loved you, as he gave himself as an offering. What are you giving him? Sexual immorality, impurity, and greed. Is that the gift you want to give him? These are utterly inappropriate for God's holy people. Also out of place are obscenity and stupid talking, coarse language. Listen, he's talking about a theater. You thought people outside swear a lot. Vulgarity like you do not understand. I'm talking about the type of language sailors would use. And they get so hard and so broken that the sensitivity is gone. And they would use that as a play for common entertainment. How many of you have ever sat and you had the misfortune of putting on a movie where the swearing was over the top? How many of you turned the movie off? What about complete crude language? Referring to people as body parts and all types of other funny things. How many of you turned the movie off? Instead, you should be giving thanks. For of this you can be very sure. Listen up. Every sexual, immoral, impure or greedy person, that is every idol worshipper, if you're worshipping someone else's body, if you're all about yourself, if you're all about what you want, how you want, you're putting yourself in place of God. I counseled a young man once with a drug addiction. I said, you know what your problem is? He says, yes, I put drugs in the place of my God. I said, no, you put you in the place of your God. He goes, what do you mean? He said, you don't care how God feels, you care how you feel. The drugs are just going to help you get you there. It's not about the drugs, it's about you. You want to feel that way. That's why you take what you take. You want it. So you worship yourself or you worship an idol. You have no share in the kingdom of Messiah and of God. Let that statement sink in. Paul talks about living out, I think it's Paul, stand to be directed. He says, work out your salvation in fear and trembling. When are you fully saved? When are you? In your baptism? Partly. That's the starting process. You need Yeshua to atone for you. You need Him. You want Him to come in. But when are you fully saved? When you hear the words good and faithful servant, come on. In that day, everybody will be saved. In that time, when it's all said and done, and you lived your life accordingly, then in union with Messiah, you will live with Messiah. This isn't a climb in the water, wear a cross, and then go sleep around, do drugs and whatever, and then tell yourself that you're okay. You're not. I hope I'm not talking to anybody in this room. But there are many people out there that believe that that's it. There's no condemnation in Christ, so I can live like the world. There's no covenant with the world. Who do you belong to? Remember we spoke about rabbis and disciples a while ago in the high school program? Do you remember what the phrase Scripture says about a rabbi and a disciple? A student, a disciple is not above his teacher. But it is enough that he becomes like his teacher. For you as children, should you not reflect your Father? For you as people of the kingdom of heaven, should you not reflect your King? What you say and what you do tells the world what your King finds acceptable. So if you believe slandering someone, backbiting, unforgiveness, greed, sexual immorality, watching uncouth things, if you think all of those things are okay, then you're telling everybody your God says it's okay. I'm asking you to look at the Word and tell me if you see that. Let no one deceive you with empty talk. You're sitting in a theater, don't think that it's a good place. For it is because of these things that God's judgment is coming on those who disobey Him. So don't become partners with them. For you used to be darkness, but now united with the Lord, you are light. Darkness and light. Give me the image. Roman image. Let me give you a clue. My red sweetie picture. Station marker. Right? We're at station number 5. Aurikalas. That's the name of the night watchman who would come out. If you were caught out in the darkness and you didn't know, you wanted to get home safely, because remember Rome passed a law that no one was allowed to offload their ships during the day. They had to do it at night. So all the people that came off our ships, you didn't know them from Borisov, they've been at sea for how long, you don't know if they were godly, ungodly, if they wanted to knife you, steal, whatever. There's no lights, there's no CSI, you've got problems. People are drunk, running around in the streets because of pubs and taverns, and maybe you had one of those all-night dinners. Maybe you were with someone there that someone else had their eye on. Maybe they didn't like that. If you were a normal person and you were nervous, you would wait for the Wiggles, the guy with the light, to come and stand at his station, and he would look around with his big torch and he would say, Station 5, he's armed, he's ready, and the people would go near him. If I stay near Station 12, I'm going to follow him from station to station, because I know I'm in the light and I'm protected. I know that I've got someone that will defend me if someone tries to hurt me. That's his job. And he's going to get me to the closest station, the 12. From Station 12, it's a 20-meter run to my front door. Hustle and bustle. He says, walk in the light, don't run around in the darkness. Where am I? Jerry. Verse 9. Okay. For the fruit of the light is every kind of goodness, righteousness, and truth. Try to determine what will please the Lord. So he's using a Roman image again to tell you, if you want to bring light, bring goodness, bring righteousness, bring truth. What is truth? Torah is truth. God is righteous. He's saying bring God into everything. Bring light so people will come to your light, and then you will help them be saved. Have nothing to do with the deeds produced by darkness, but instead expose them. For it is even shameful to speak of things people do in secret. Well, that's a big poke at a fellowship, eh? There is something that you learn over time, and it's scriptural. It says, what you do in darkness will be brought out to light. Many a time people have done things in darkness and they thought they got away with it, and then it came out 2 months later and then they had to deal with the consequences. And that's not because, oh no, here we go, now we have to deal with this nonsense and all the rest of it. God brought it out so that you can help people. So that you can help them deal with their sin. And maybe they think you got them in a bad place, but you can counsel them and help them and say, listen, now I understand why you went through that patch. What normally happens when people are up to no good? Do they come to fellowship or do they stay away from fellowship? What does a good shepherd do?
Leaves everyone.
Leaves the 99, go feed the other sheep, or we all go to that sheep's house. If one day we pitch up and we say, we have to have fellowship with you, don't be scared. I'm just going to, you left fellowship, we will fellowship to you. You know how many times I've thought of doing that? Yeah.
Surprising.
Don't worry, we've got to earn it everything. We like our coffee. Guys, God brings these things out and He helps us purely because He wants us to deal with the root of our problems. How many times do we go through something and you allow something and you allow something, and then because you've allowed it once or twice, it starts to become a habit? Isn't it easier to stop the habit before it forms? Now you understand what he's trying to say. But everything exposed in light is revealed clearly for what it is. Since anything revealed in light, this is what it says: get up, sleeper, arise from the dead, and the Messiah will shine on you. Saying, stop doing what you're doing, and when you take what you're doing and you put it in God's Word, is it backing up that statement? Yeah, but Vince, you don't understand. Normally if you start arguing, you're trying to justify. Think about it. How many times have you justified what you wanted to do and you use those words? You don't understand. If I take it and I put it next to the text and we take emotion out of it and we forget about all that stuff, how you feel about it, where you are about it, and I know it's very difficult, but if I take it and I measure it up with God said I'm allowed to do it or whether I'm not, what is my answer going to be? Hopefully you will lean on what God said. Therefore pay careful attention to how you conduct your life. Live wisely, not unwisely. Use your time well, for these are evil days. So don't be foolish, but try to understand what the will of the Lord is. Don't get drunk with wine because it makes you lose control. Instead, keep on being filled with the Spirit. Next image. What's the next image? Does the wickedness get drunk? No, he shifted things. European identity or European sort of culture is that your house is a very small way you eat and entertain. Outside in the pubs, in the taverns, in the shops and the things. If you go to France and you go to places, even in Israel, they have small homes. So if you want to meet up with your friends, you go down to the cafe. You go sit down at cafe, or you go sit down at a restaurant, you have a good time, you meet someone. So what do? They're sitting over there, maybe it's winter, you don't have enough money for fire or to buy wood. Remember, as a Roman, as a guy who's probably a Jewish person living in a society, you can have nothing to do with Roman society, because even if I went to sell or buy in the marketplace, it means I have to offer up incense or give homage to the God of the marketplace or to the God of the town. But I can't do that. God said, oh, there's only one God. There's no way. Well, then we can't have him coming here. You know how many times throughout history, if an earthquake happens, they blame the Jewish believers? You did that because you don't pay homage to the God or the goddess. Now she's angry and she's destroying us. You're going to die for that. We're going to clean this. We would have traveled around the Roman world. There are many places with big earthquakes, including Israel. And it's all your fault. And from your believing perspective, it's kind of the other way around. If you weren't worshipping all these idols, then maybe there wouldn't be earthquakes. So he says, you're talking about how you conduct your life, and you go to a pub or a tavern and you sit outside and you have a good time and it's warm and wine is generally cheaper than water, and you eat, even in Europe today, it's cheaper to drink than this bottle of water. You know, not going, that's why we keep here. So you go over there and they're sitting and everybody's having a good time and it's warm and they start to sing songs and dance and have a good time, and before you realize it's 1 o'clock in the morning. And your one drink turned into 47. And you're being filled with the Spirit. Yeah, spirits, maybe the clear ones. Huh? Listen guys, God is not against alcohol. You turn water into wine. Right? But he is against drunkenness. Why? It says here, you lose control. And if you've ever been drunk and you tell other people that you're fine, you've never seen yourself drunk. Take it from a brother who did it for a while. Now I'm in control all the time. You can really walk straight, but are you sure you're in control? Yeah, I feel good. You can laugh, but that stuff really killed me. Says, sing psalms and hymns and spiritual songs to each other. Sing to the Lord and make music with your heart to them. Always give thanks for everything to God The Father, in the name of the Lord Yeshua the Messiah, He says, you're sitting there singing songs about stuff. Why don't you try worship? How many of you sit down and you've got a song stuck in your head and you don't know the lyrics? Because you heard it on the radio. And you sing it and sing it and sing it and sing it and you're like, I like this beat, man. And then when you look at the words again and you're like, what are you actually saying? You realize maybe not so good. Have you ever been there? Right? How many of you have gotten to the place where the only thing you want to fill your ears with is Christian music? It's a strange thing. I love music. All different types, all different genres. And some of them just, it's a normal worldly song and I hear God's heart in it. It's a weird thing. But there are points when you just fill yourself with such of the world and you sit there and you think, what is this person actually saying? If you listen to the words, what are they about? And you stand up and you say, look, surely my time is better spent. What's getting poured in is what's going to come out. So let me ask you, what are you putting in? Submit to one another in fear of the Messiah. Oh, here we go. Married couples, this is the time when you buckle your seats. Alright, what did I just read? Submit to what?
And wives submit to the husband, not their wives.
What did I just read?
Submit to one another.
No. Sure, that's all right.
Submit to one another what? I'm going to put this here. Fear of okay. Now let's lay this down. This word has become a dirty word in our culture. What does it mean to submit from a worldly perspective? Bow down, keep quiet, you don't know, shut up, I'm here. You know, there's a religion based on this. There is Islam. The word Islam means submit. Except you petition him 3 times a day so that he doesn't kill you. That's the submission we have in our head. You submit to the authority means that you allow a dictatorship environment. The last time we submitted, from a Jewish perspective, Holocaust happened. Now, take that. Now pull it up for a win. Because that is not what this term means. I sat in marriage counseling sessions. I sat there with a therapist who was trying to give teachings, and this one uncle didn't like that word. He's like, how dare you ask my wife to submit to me? Don't be ridiculous. She's my partner. I love her. She does not need to submit. You people are confused. And they spent the next 45 minutes trying to justify why it's okay for her to submit to a loving husband. Submit does not mean submit and listen or else. It means to be accountable. Who am I accountable to? If I demand submission from my flock, and you have the wrong understanding that says, I'm the head, you're the tail, shut up, we go where I want to go. Is that godly? No, because I am not the head, Messiah is the head. he might use me as the neck. And I need to help do this so that the body can follow. It's not about me. In fear of the Messiah. Why? Because if you're accountable to each other, you will realize you're accountable to Him. This is the start of the statement. Get your context. Rev your engines. Nail this down. Do whatever you need to do, because you have people quoting scripture when they want to throw their toys. Men, I'm talking about you. Hopefully no one in this room. You are wrong. And I say that out of love. You are not going to get submission from your wife by force. How do I know that? How many of you have tried? How many of you have succeeded? You see, no one's brave enough to put their hand up for the first part. How many of you have gotten that right? No. I'll explain in a minute. Okay. Yeah, and all the girls are like, yeah, don't do slept on the couch. Alright, submit to one another in fear of the Messiah. Now, he's dealing with Ephesus. They've got a problem. Wives, ladies, pay attention. You are going to love this part. Tell me what it says. Wives, what is your instruction?
Not yet. Not yet.
No. You, it says to their husbands. Your wife's not just.
Why didn't you come to the break?
She's going to be watching the live feed. Submit to your husband. Submit to your husband. What else does it say?
As they do to the Lord.
Addendum. As they do to the Lord. Why? That's why. Okay, next one, next verse. What else is about there? Okay, so it gives you a little bit of description, right? Let's talk about this. Husbands, they don't have to submit to you because you're a man. They don't have to submit to you because you think you're smarter. They don't have to submit to you because you said so. It has nothing to do with you. It's because Messiah is the head. Right? He uses an image. Because the context is there. What else does he go for us?
Just as the Messiah
Is the head? Come on.
Okay, just as the Messiah has made a proposal to himself, the one who keeps the body safe.
Just as the Messianic community submits to the Messiah, also so wives should submit to their husbands in everything. Be accountable to each other in everything, not the stuff you want him to know and the stuff you don't want him to know. If you're doing it sneaky, you've got a problem. As for the husbands, so he's saying, wives, I need you to see this. You need to take him as you submit to Christ. He has to submit to me in line. Fall in line, so we're all going in the same direction. Okay? As for the husbands, what is the husband's instructions? Oh.
Just as the Messiah loved the Messiah.
Love your wife. Why do you love your wife? Because Messiah, again, loved us. Now, how did the Messiah love? He gave himself up as a sacrifice. He gave himself willingly. Was his job to rule over or lift up? He lifted up. Later he will rule, and we will want him to rule because we willingly. Why do we willingly submit? Because we love him. Men learn that. Ladies, submission is a gift you give to your husband. Nothing less, nothing less. It is a gift. Men, be worthy of that gift.
I see for women it's submission, for the men it's love. So I think here as well, natural state of our flesh, those are the things that are hard for us to do.
Absolutely. Alright, can I pick on you a little bit? Right? No, this is just me reading scripture. And I can start stir the pot. Alright. Wives. What does it mean to submit to your husband? To? Yeah, that's what it says. Be accountable, right? Ladies that are wearing head coverings. What was that a reminder of? Covering your head, why? Your husband's authority and Messiah's authority over you. Right? So you will willingly submit to your husband in the correct order to be able to allow him to lead as Messiah has called him to. Now, submission is something, and I say this out of love, especially in today's times. Now, you can even take us back biblically. If you look at Abraham and Sarah, if you look at some of those stories, what did Sarai mean first? Now, you see, most translators will say that, but it actually comes from a root that means quarrelsome. Is that accurate?
You better go sleep with Hagar, or else I'm not talking to you, mister. You go get that Hagar. You go do this, and I will have that again.
Accurate? Ladies, how many times have you nagged and you nagged and you pushed and you pushed and you pushed and you pushed your husband to do something he wasn't ready to do? How did that work? Big banana. Make an issue. There is a point. Submission is something that should come out of respect, something that should come out of love, something that should be to the point of when I submit to you, I'm recognizing you doing what? Your part is in following Christ. It is very difficult for a person and for a woman to go to the point where she goes, you know what? I trust him so much that even though I don't understand it, I'm going to support him. Even though everybody else says he's daft, I'm going to stand here next to him. Ladies, listen up. What do you think out of all of this that men would pray? Love or respect? Ladies, you heard that come out men's mouth as well, yes? It's very difficult for a man to feel loved if he's not respected first. Men, agree? You don't value my opinion, you won't listen to what I have to say. I'm trying to lead you, I'm trying to guide you, I'm trying to share what I have on my heart. You won't even listen to me. So therefore, ladies step up and they refuse to submit. Now there are many factors that get us to this place. Maybe the husband's not doing what he's supposed to. Maybe he was a non-believer before, and then you had to do it. But when he started to step up into his role, did you continue challenging for it? Or did you come underneath him and say, I'm here? What do you need from me? What do you need me to do? How can I help you run this household? And remember, you're doing it together. Submit to one another. What are we going to do about this problem? How are we going to take this into consideration? How do we, I doesn't exist. How I feel, what I see does not exist, does not play out, throw it out your head. In this scenario, husbands and wives, as family, as community, it is not us and them, it's us. I don't care what community you visit. If they're believers, they're family. When you're in your home, how are we? What is it about this? Respect your husband. It's going to help him. And if you don't know anything at the top of your head, find something. There's a reason you're married. If he feels appreciated, just like you feel appreciated, he will then warm up and want to take the role, not feel obligated to. Husbands. Love. Tell a man to be a man, step up and take control. 9 times out of 10 you won't have a problem. Domineering people is easy. I don't know, we grow up wrestling and slapping each other, and if you've got other brothers, it's whoever's the strongest and all the rest of it. Yeah? And when you get to the place, you stand up and you're like, this is me, deal with it. And if you don't, there's going to be poop being spilled on the playground. Every young man gets to that place where he wants to flex his feathers. Ask him to become vulnerable and love someone. Well, that's a different story. What does it mean to love? You're obviously in the man. Spoke about Egypt this morning. Move on. This is it.
I would say for a man to love his wife would mean that he needs to make himself vulnerable and open up to her and share his inner fears with her.
It's part of becoming intimate, having an intimate relationship with him, but it's not just that. If you're looking at love, the way Messiah did is about me lifting you up. How do I make you the best you possible? And I'm going to lift you up so high that when people see you, they will see you, they won't see you.
Yeah.
If I give my life up, it's a life of service. It's an offering. Men, why do you go to work? Because I want money and I want to buy stuff. Or do you go to provide for the needs of your family? Why do you do this? Why do you step up? Man, for a man to love means that he has to take everything upon himself and he has to go, I'm going to pour out myself for my family. But please, husbands and wives, listen to me carefully. We get to a place where we think we are meeting needs and we don't. Don't think that because you got up and you went to work and you came home and your wife should feel fulfilled. She hasn't seen you all day. You've done better all for her.
Yeah.
I'll be working 18 hours a day, give you what you want. Like, that's nice, I'd rather have you at home. That's not what a man does. Why not? If you don't meet your husband's needs, guys, and this is it, you've heard of it said, love languages, you understand each other differently, take the time to understand each other. Some of you will feel more loved and appreciated when people just listen to you. Some of you enjoy contact. Some of you enjoy a phone call, a little letter in a lunchbox that says, I love you, I'll see you now. A random phone call at 11:30 going, you've been gone for 5 minutes, but I miss you already. Hurry up back home. Knowing that she's only going to be home at 5 o'clock, or you're only going to be home at 5 o'clock. Listen to me, when God was on that tree, dying, He was thinking of you. What excuse do you have to focus on the world more than on those that you're sacrificing for? You have no excuse. This is about building relationships. This is about me forgetting about me and lifting up my family. This is about wives going, okay, well, hang on a minute here. You know, it's a funny thing with Adam and Eve in the way the one refused to lead. God says, you're the head, bud, step up. And the one who was out in front going, that's a lovely apple, says, why don't you stand next to your husband for a little bit and then think about the process. Submitting to authority is being accountable to authority. Is understanding that as I submit, I do so because I know you need help. I know you need me. I know I am doing this and it's a gift for you. Don't take it for granted. It is something not to be scorned. It's something to be given. If we are submitting to Christ, why are you here? If He's looking at you and He says, look, I need you to scrub toilets for the next 10 years, are you going to submit? Or are you really starting to feel uncomfortable?
It was taken from the road, to protect us.
This is supposed to protect, but unfortunately we lost sight of that. We lose sight of this today. We lose sight of it everywhere. Marriage has become about us, about me, about how I feel when I want out, the way I want things done. It's not about you, it's about us. How many of you have realized that in a marriage, if one of you is happy and one of you is unhappy, it's not a nice marriage? Have any of you felt that in a home when the parents are one is happy and one is not? Kids, how does that make you feel? Nice, happy home environment? Or as soon as you walk in through the door and you realize mommy and daddy are not talking and daddy's hiding, so you better hide as well. Or don't let mom brush your hair. Is that what happened to me? Man, we have to get back to basics. Husbands, love your wives just as the Messiah loved the Messianic community, indeed gave Himself up on His behalf, in order to set it apart for God, making it clean through the immersion in the mikvah, so to speak, in order to present the community to Himself as a bride to be proud of, without spot, wrinkle, or any such thing, but holy and without defect. What is your point? So we share something personal with you for a second. When Tanya and I were able to go to Israel and we took Jaden and Rachel with us, and he was 3 or 4. He was 4 and Sissy was young. They were a year apart, 3 and 2 or something like that. Fun times. My legs have never been so tired in all my life. Pushing a double twin stroller up on an archaeological mound, on every archaeological site. It was fun, but we got through it. But I tell you what, I will never forget that time when I was able to stand there at the bottom of the western wall, knowing that the temple stood over there, that God's presence dwelled there forever, and I stood over there and I was able to present my family to Him. And I could just say, Abba, look at what you did. We're here because of you. I I never knew I wanted this until I had it, and now I don't know what I do without it. It's just there. This is how husbands ought to love their wives, like their own bodies. Just for the man who loves his wife, the man who loves his wife is loving himself. Why no one ever hated his own flesh, on the contrary, he feeds it well and takes care of it, just as the Messiah does, the Messianic community, because we are all parts of the body. Therefore, man will leave his father and his mother and remain with his wife, and the two will become one. You and Christ will become one if you choose to be. Marriage is a choice. Everybody focuses on the first time you say yes. They don't focus on every day thereafter you say yes. It's not a one-moment decision. It's an everyday decision. I choose you. I'm here. I'm home. Let's do this. Let's fight. Let's go. Let's push forward. Let's do what we need to do to grow. Let's take stock. Let's look at our kids. Let's train them up in the way we should go. Let's help them. And we're like any other parents. Sometimes we get distracted on all the other stuff we have to get done, and then every now and again we just have to take stock. How often do we take stock of just meeting with each other? How often do you and hubby sit down together and just chat? We don't talk. We live past one another. You know what happens when you do that? You take it for granted. Guys, listen to me. There is something very inherently wrong, and this is how bad things happen in good relationships. You feel you cannot, for whatever way, shape, or excuse you justify why you cannot share what you should be sharing with your husband or your wife, and you go to someone else and you give them that. Let me say it nicely. Stop it. I've got stronger words. What you're doing is taking something that is only for your husband and your wife, your fears, your thoughts, whatever, and you're imprinting that on someone else. You are moving your emotional connection and reliance to someone else. I don't care how close you are, whether it's your family, whether it's your friends, whether it's some person at work. Before you realize it, you will run to them every time and your husband or your wife won't know who the heck you are and what you're doing. You get the addendum, oh, by the way, I went through that, but I'm better now. That's for the family. That's for other people. You as a married couple, you bring it home. If you're struggling with something, if you're dealing with something, if you're talking about scripture, if God is telling you something, bring it home. We have to practice this. We have to put it in play. Because otherwise I get all of my security and my comfort from this person, but I'm really married to this person. So who are you really married to? There was a good friends of mine, they used to joke, and they used to say about the husband, no, you are not his work wife. They do everything together. They work together, they talk together, they laugh together. Every now and again they'll go out for a drink. But don't worry, everything's fine. It wasn't long after that when he found out that, oh, by the way, they had an affair. Never saw it coming. Really? Why do you need her if you're busy there? No, we just talk and it's cool and we get along really well. People imprint on lots of things. It might be your pastor, it might be your therapist, it might be whoever. Stop. If you don't have anybody, go to God. You want to pour out your heart? Go to God. The family can support you, the pastor can support you, but don't become the person that you need to run to someone else's husband. or someone else's wife, or some other scenario? How would you feel if your children ran to someone else, some other parents, and told them their deepest, darkest secrets? How would you feel if your wife would rather share, or your husband would rather share with someone else than you? Men, how would you feel? Come on, spit it out. Appreciate it? Absolutely not. You feel lost. Wives, how would you feel? Rejected. How quickly does it happen? Take stock. If submission is your problem, learn to submit. That means let go of the steering wheel. If love is your problem, learn to love. We have wonderful examples of both. Through one person, Yeshua submitted to his Father so that he would die on a tree, and he loved so much that he gave it up as an offering. And if you're supposed to mimic him, what are you doing? There is a profound truth hidden here, which I say concerns the Messiah and the Messianic community. However, the text also applies to each other, each of you individually. Let each man love his wife as he does himself, and see that the wife respects her husband. There is a thing here. Sorry, just before. In Torah, there are three things that a husband has to take care of him for his wife. Three things. What three things? Torah says in Exodus 21, coverings, a house, clothes, food, and marital lives. What? You will not withhold any of it. It says in 1 Corinthians 7 that no one should withhold yourself from your spouse unless agreed upon for a specific time. Ladies, I'm going to push buttons here. If you deny your husband, he's going to shut down. Emotionally and then physically. You know what I'm talking about? Men, you have to learn to be patient. Sometimes you're tired, leave her alone. You will live. 24 hours will not kill you. But I promise you, if you use yourself as a bargaining tool, the guys will shut down. If a lady gets shut down, how do you think that makes her feel? You won't even touch me. It's about 3 steps away from divorce because she is felt so rejected she doesn't even understand where she is. We need to get to the place where we need to understand each other's needs above our own, and we need to lift each other up to be accountable to each other as we are accountable to Christ. It takes work. How many of you can say you're happily married, Lord Hashem? Amen? Is it worth it? Amen. We need to fight, and we need to work, and we need to grow. But please, as you do so, come back to the Word. If you're struggling with submission, ask Him to show. If you're struggling with love, ask Him to show you. Not your version of love, His version of love. What your wife needs, what your husband needs. Can I share this with anyone? holding her breath, waiting, what's he going to say? There was a point there where Tanya was really going through a hard time with the kids and trying to get everything sorted, and I was running to work, and Vincent in his mind, you tell the man that you're struggling and he wants to fix everything, right? So what do we do? We took that door and I went, I thought, that hurts my fingers. I said, I'm gonna help. So I went back to, sat down and we looked at some figures, and I got another mate who's a good husband. I'm a good husband. Cost me money to do it. I got another one. And when I came home thinking, man, solved problem, wife gonna be happy, she just told me, thanks very much, you gave me more work. I'm like, no, I've got someone else to take care of your work. She goes, no, who's gonna tell that person what to do? I was never got that. You know, we're going to tell her to go away. If you learn to listen before you act, and you're honest with each other, and you can say, what do you need from me? And attentively listen. You can meet that need. And then you make it a habit. A habit of lifting her up, a habit of helping her grow, a habit of loving him, of respecting him, of showing him the affection that you would want showered on you. And then it becomes easy to love. It becomes easy to submit. Because it's not about you, it's about the other person. You are loving him not because he deserves love, but because he does. Did you deserve it? No. He died anyway. He loved you when you were a horrible little creature. Have you ever seen a toddler throwing tantrums, spitting, snarling, all the rest of it, and you've got to find everything within your being to hug it instead of smack it? You go through this process, man, and I sat down and Jaden went through a rough patch, and I was like, timeouts weren't working, a smack on the bum wasn't working then. And eventually I just grabbed him and I held him until he couldn't refute me anymore. And I saw a little 3-year-old go from tense to limp. And he just cried for about 5 minutes, then he broke my heart. Which one do you think got the better response? How many times have you had to love a quickly husband? Or how many times have you had to love a wife that didn't want anything to do with you except she wants you to hold her anyway? Listen to me. People hide because they don't want to deal with conflict. But what they really need is for you to draw that out to help them to deal with it. Ladies, don't stonewall. That's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I was listening to a guy giving marital advice counseling the other day, and he said, men, take a deep breath. When she says it's fine, it's going to be a 3-hour conversation. And he said, no, it's fine. I said, no, what's wrong? My baby, I love you. I know. I've seen your face. I've seen your eyes. I'm here. Talk to me. And then if she says it's fine, take a breath. It's a 3-hour conversation. But then she goes, you know, the thing is, be prepared to find out what's bugging you. It's going to be a 3-hour conversation. It's the same thing when she looks at you and you don't want anybody around because you want to isolate yourself just to take some time to get the edge off, and she looks at you and sometimes she doesn't say a word and she just walks up to you and she hugs you and she gives you a kiss and she gives you a coffee and she takes a walk. And she's got 50 things that need to be taken care of. And she walks away and she gives you some space. Lift each other. Fight for one another. Work at this thing called marriage. It is one of the biggest gifts you will give. And if it's the thing that he likens, our relationship with him, am I going to fight for him as he fought for me? Or am I just going to say it's too much effort and walk away like the rest of the world? We need to stand up and we need to be accountable. This is my marriage. This is my relationship with God. This is who I am all about. These are my kids. And when I say mine, my wife is here next to me. There's no difference. It's not yours and mine. This is it. If you start thinking as a single person, you start acting as a single person. It's about being echad. You with me? Alright, you want to say something?
I was going to say, just from personal experience, I mean, this whole heat covering thing, just as an example, it started out with doing something for the Lord, but as time goes and as you read it starts becoming about talk. He slowly takes you to the place of submission to your husband as well. And it's like, okay, like, yeah, I'll do it for God. And then he's like, hang on, the lesson's not over. And then it's like, no.
Don't you love when he does that? It's like, yeah, it's for God. And he's like, no, sweetie.
Yeah, it's like, no, it's like this.
It is for me, but it's not really sweet.
Yeah, but it's actually nice because, you know, when we actually are obedient, not to, I mean, even if you're sick and you confess that you're healed, you might still have symptoms of sickness, or you might not see the healing coming in yet, but because you believe well, it allows God in. He's a gentleman, so he waits for you to be ready. And then he comes in and he starts doing the healing, and that process all happens. He's doing the restoration and relationship and everything. So it's about not trusting him, because you always want to fix things as a mom. You like fixing things as a wife. You're kind of the same. So it's nice when that surrenders there, you know, and you just walk slowly through the process. It's a journey, this as well. It's not just,
absolutely.
You're going to raise your knees, but it's so worth it.
Guys, this is a process. Remember, every marriage, husband and wife, we're given to each other to balance each other out. There are some things that you're good at, and there's something that your wife is better at. You're not being emasculated if she does something better than you. God chose her for that reason. He gifted her that way so she could help you. Let her. It's not about being less of a man. If I'm supposed to show everybody that my wife does the budgeting because she's really good at it, and we have more money, if that works for you and your wife, great. If it doesn't work for you and your wife, great. You're not everybody else. Learn, grow together, use each other's strengths, because you're not the same as everybody else. Don't broad stroke this. Your love language or the way you feel appreciated is different to other people. That's okay, that's part of the video. It's about recognizing your wife, recognizing your husband, and acknowledging that and meeting those needs. To love is active. To submit is active. It's something you should do every day. Because you love them. It's a choice. It's a process. But with God's help, we'll get there. Amen? Amen. Prayer time is every time.